Hi, welcome everyone. It's Andrew Dailey of MGI Research, and our next session is the end of point billing solutions. Those of you who know MGI and know the monetized events, this would be, if we were in person, this would be actually our 14th monetized conference. And one of the things that we like to do at these events is to really engage in a sharp conversation and engage with the executives and the innovators who like to take a sharp point of view. And so today's topic we think is a really good one. This session's topic is a really good one in that there may be some different points of view here. We like this. It keeps us honest. It keeps our research sharp. And I think this is going to be a very lively conversation. So please welcome me in welcoming Jon Leipzig, the head of subscription billing business development at Zone Advanced Billing. Welcome, Jon.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Great to be here.
Nice to see you again. So declaring the demise of point billing solutions is a pretty strong statement. Globally, we track over 200 billing companies, and that's not including the medical billers. So what do you mean by the end of point billing solutions, and what are you seeing that hundreds of other companies aren't?
Yeah, so it's definitely a bold statement, and obviously comes with some caveats, but hopefully it caught the attention of some folks who want to join the session and hear what we really mean. So I guess to clarify a bit, if you look at the market growth of the subscription billing economy, it's obviously growing in every sector, every vertical: banking, financial services, insurance, retail, e-com, telecom, transportation, logistics, media, entertainment. And there's always going to be a need for a specialized billing solution in, say, telecom, like medical billing, like you said, even financial services to some degree, where there's going to be certain levels of compliance and requirements there that a point solution is going to be better fit for. But it's really the IT and software technology space where we're seeing the largest growth and market share in that subscription management space. So specifically, small, medium enterprises in the IT space are grabbing that large market share. So these companies are transitioning from a license-based model to subscription-based. They're moving towards usage-based billing. Additionally, there's a big shift in companies not just selling to enterprises for these solutions. So many small and medium-sized businesses are needing tools and cloud-based tools for remote collaboration, for their work-from-home employees, for the BYOD, the bring your own device economy for workers, online ordering, cybersecurity. So these small businesses need those solutions, and they're investing a lot more in cloud-based software applications to run their businesses. So my point, or our point being, is that the SMEs providing, the small, medium-sized enterprises providing these types of B2B and even B2C solutions used to require a point solution to handle any type of recurring billing, usage-based model, because historically, accounting softwares, ERPs, they didn't really offer a great solution like a best of breed. So over the last 5 to 10 or 10 to 15 years, really, these companies bought point solutions and attempted to integrate them to their back office. And they didn't choose to buy a point solution. They were, sort of forced to. And as a former accountant and controller, I had to buy point solutions, and there's just a lot of difficulties that come with integrating them. So, our company has built an enterprise-grade subscription management tool inside of an ERP, which is NetSuite. And for us and a lot of our clients, that's the number one cloud-based ERP. It's an accounting solution that is the most widely used in that target market segment that I was discussing, the small and medium-sized enterprises in that IT software technology vertical. But in general, all the ERPs and accounting solutions will continue to build out better tools for that market segment, which will eliminate the need for point solutions for a lot of companies.
Got it. So let's test this a little bit. There are, as you alluded to, there's literally thousands of use cases for billing solutions, from the very simple to the very complex. And it's not unusual, for some of the reasons that you just described, for even a small or mid-sized business to have more than one billing solution. Do you think that there's some needs where a point solution could be the right fit?
Yeah. So yeah, as I mentioned, maybe a global telecom company that has really high volume of call data records into the hundreds and millions or billions that can't be aggregated, or certain industries with regulations or compliance that they have to adhere to. Those are clearly going to benefit from a point solution. And we're solving the same problems that point solutions are solving for that target segment that I just talked about. But based on our experience as an ERP implementer and services company, we just found it very difficult for those companies to integrate to the back office. So we've worked with hundreds of tech companies that came to us before we even had this product and said, help me comply with ASC 606 or IFRS 15. Help me get my financial reporting in line. Help me with my SaaS metrics. And these projects were extremely difficult because of that integration point. So they could be really expensive. They were having to require a lot of overhead internally at these companies. They were having to hire services companies like ours to help with kind of the system work that needed to be done. And in many cases, we couldn't even fully meet the client's requirements around financial reporting and revenue recognition, because they were using a separate system. So it was very hard to get, the contract modifications, the upsells, the downsells, the changes, the taxes, all integrated to those different systems. So I guess to answer your question, there's obviously a huge need for those specialized industries. But since we're solving that integration problem, you have to have NetSuite. You have to have that ERP. So we're clearly not going to be a fit if you want to continue to grow your company on some other platform, some other ERP, some other accounting software, or you want to be nimble enough where you can change those systems but keep your billing tool, then a point billing solution is definitely going to be the right fit for them. But for our target market segment, if they think that they're going to need an ERP and they want to look at NetSuite, a point solution or an in solution like ours should always be in the conversation. And even if they're looking at point solutions and they're looking at other accounting systems or other ERPs, what we're saying is they should also be considering, can an ERP or an accounting system that I can then use for future growth in all other areas and other operations potentially be my billing and rev rec tool.
Got it. And we're big believers at MGI in really analyzing and refining very specific use cases and finding the best fit per use cases or per the use case. What do you see as the really optimal fit for an integrated solution like yours? What's the perfect use case? What's the perfect customer for you?
Yeah. So, as I mentioned, that market that's growing in the small, medium enterprise IT software technology is obviously a great fit for us. And there's, as you said, a million use cases in there, but even the shift in retail and e-com needing solutions for subscription boxes or recurring shipments, the Internet of Things growth with companies that might have hardware and software, services companies that have managed services, and they maybe have some complex billing or calculations or formulas based on the attributes or events of when somebody checks in or checks out. They could benefit from an in solution in their ERP or financial system because they don't have to deal with the integrations. And so to give you an example, we have one company that offers a cloud-based software to help businesses find, hire, schedule, pay their workforce, but they additionally resell things to their clients like a POS system. So if they were using a point solution, not only would they have to figure out how to integrate to the front office, like the CRM and CPQ, to that point solution, they also then need to integrate to the back office for the financial reporting, the analytics, the forecasting, the rev rec, but additionally integrate to some sort of inventory management, WMS for those drop ships, automating the creation of the POs. And so if they have that within a single system, like we have inside of NetSuite, we can manage those contract subscriptions, the upsells, the downsells, the changes, the parent-child relationships between the different locations, but additionally from that contract, be leveraging functionality in that ERP, that NetSuite that's already built for the warehouse management, the fulfillment, the shipping, the tracking landed cost if they do have their own warehouse, and then you have that all in one system for reporting. But even taking a simpler example where you've got a small B2B company that's maybe just selling a subscription license and usage-based billing. Maybe they don't have hardware, let's say, but maybe they still have some kind of complex calculations for their mediation or their usage. You can make the argument, why deal with the challenge or the headache of trying to integrate that point solution to your financial system or your ERP, where you're going to have 2 customer records, 2 invoices, 2 payments, 2 rev rec potentially entries happening in both systems, if you can do it all in one. And I get at the last, probably biggest point I would make about the argument for an end solution is, for some reason in that market, a lot of these companies that had to move to point solutions, it's typically a percentage of revenue model. It can be very expensive for certain types of companies in the enterprise space, even in the SME space. And that's a lot of times that's just to get an invoice out the door. So even though you have to have, like our solution, you have to have NetSuite as your ERP, so you have to make the investment in that, and then you make the investment in our add-on in solution. Oftentimes the package is less expensive than a point solution, and really you're getting 2 for 1. You're getting the #1 cloud ERP to scale your business infinitely into the future, whether you have multiple subsidiaries, you're global, you've got complex procure to pay operations, fixed assets, project management. You have that tool to grow into, but then you also have your billing and your rev rec as the core in that solution.
Yeah, well, let's drill into that a little bit, which is there's a connection between billing and finance. That's very clear. But then there are these other integration points, which you touched on, so to speak, like quoting, like order management, like provisioning. What are the benefits of an integrated solution when it comes to connecting into your quoting, into order management, et cetera?
So sorry, is the question, what are some of the integration points that you will?
Yeah, what are the most common integration points? There's the obvious one, which is between billing and your financial package, billing and your revenue recognition capability. What are the other ones that you see, most commonly that people don't necessarily think about initially when they're thinking about addressing a billing issue?
Yeah, for us, the most common is a CRM, Salesforce automation, and CPQ. So even though many ERPs, NetSuite and our product inside of NetSuite have the capability to be a CRM and a quoting tool, we can't fight the fact that 80% of companies that we're working with in the market started out using a different Salesforce automation, CRM, CPQ, like Salesforce. So that's our biggest integration point, but it's a very clean break between front office and back office. And there are different teams in different departments doing different operations, versus when you use a point billing solution, you have your accounting and finance and even planning team going into multiple systems that are integrated, that are creating GL posting transactions. So really, when we do those integrations, we're often trying to mirror the contracts and the quotes that are getting created in the front office, and then setting that up in the back office inside of an ERP to do the downstream billing, usage calculations, payments, rev rec, and reporting. The second integration point is probably a proprietary system. So a lot of our clients have usage-based billing or a portal or somewhere where somebody can go in and make changes. So unless they just want to put those changes in manually or do a CSV process, they're making an API call into NetSuite, sending those changes and that data to their contract, and then we're picking that up and saying, okay, for the next billing run, you've made changes to the number of users, or here's your usage that's getting billed, and so forth.
Got it. So let's talk about specifically an example, say a mid-sized growth company that wants better financial controls, better visibility, better ability to forecast, and is also challenged with revenue leakage and some of the customer friction that comes with, say, a homegrown billing solution or semi-manual processes. In those situations where people need to replace both their financials, their core ERP, and they need more modern billing or more sophisticated billing capabilities, do you guys recommend replacing the billing first, because that's got the most immediate impact on the revenue? Or do you say start with the financials and get your financial house in order first and then go to the billing?
Yeah, so I think the benefit of having it all in one system is that case by case, there's no right or wrong answer. So some companies who are born global, right, where they're selling internationally, they've got to bill in different currencies, they got to worry about localization requirements, tax requirements. Maybe they have shipments, right, with the hardware software type model. We may recommend that we do the financials first, set up the subsidiaries, the chart of accounts, the classes to set up the reporting correctly, and then focus on the billing part of it. Or they can go big bang approach, which is actually probably the most common path that we take, which is implementing the ERP and the billing tool at the same time. Unless they're a company that's maybe been running on NetSuite for 10 years, then we're just kind of layering into their existing processes. However, if you were a company that's just US based, maybe you have a SaaS based product that only sells into US schools, or you're a local telecom or local utility company, they really may just want a billing tool. They don't have a lot of pains with financial reporting or consolidations or something like that, and they don't have complex procure to pay processes. And so we could be just a billing tool. Now we obviously still need to set up a chart of accounts so that all those invoices and RevRec can post directly to the GL, but maybe they could be putting that potentially even into another system. But they're setting themselves up for future growth. If they do open up other branches or subsidiaries or operations, or they acquire another company that has maybe more complexities in other areas around project management or HR or something else, they then have the backbone of the ERP to grow into those different modules and do all that in a single system versus keep adding on different best of breeds and trying to integrate all of them to communicate.
Got it. We're almost out of time here. We've got time for one last question, which is in 60 seconds or less. How do you give a CFO comfort and confidence in doing a big bang implementation?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people use the word big bang, but that still means there's going to be phases, right? You're not going to try to do everything all at once. There has to be a sequence of events that happen, and there's going to be certain things that overlap, but there's an order of operations. You can't set up your item master until you get your chart of accounts, because when you're setting up your item master, you got to make sure you're saying, here's the GL accounts I want them posted to for deferred revenue or revenue. So there's clearly, and this is what our team helps with when we're doing a big bang approach like that, is what are those phases going to be? And there could even be some phases where they're doing billing runs and actually operating in that system while we go into the next phase. Other times the phases are all happening and nothing's really being operated inside the ERP or the billing until we get to that point. And a clear path is always going to be integrations. So maybe we set up the system first, but then we look at the integration to the proprietary platform for the usage data. And in the short term, they're doing a manual CSV process, for example. Or maybe if the volume isn't really high for the changes or new contracts that are coming over from the CRM, maybe in that phase one, we're doing the billing out of the system, but then phase two is working on that integration to Salesforce.com, for example. So, a lot of it is experience, going through previous projects, talking about previous customers, knowing what's worked and what hasn't to come up with a plan. And so when you're talking to someone like a CFO, they want to know that there's a plan. And how are we getting from point A to point B? And what are all the steps inside that plan?
Great. Well, with that, Jon, thanks much for your time today. Thanks for joining me on stage here. I'd like to remind everyone that there's more information available, I'm sure, at the Zone booth. And your contact details are available. I'd encourage everyone to reach out. You're a great resource in this space. And so thank you very much. And thanks everyone for joining us today.
Thanks everyone. Thanks, Andrew.